close. So I read 7 books this past week, 5 of which were on the book wall. So let's get going. First up, I did finish up in a total flashback to about 2018, longer ago, 2016 maybe, Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. So this is the first book in the, this is Dark Artifices, just around the cover, the Dark Artifices. This is where I kind of tapped out. So I read these when I was in like middle and high school, and then I kind of tapped out as I got older because they got kind of convoluted. And so I never read this one, and it sat in the book wall for years and years and years. It's like so long that I didn't even have it written up here. And I've been writing the date that I get my books in my book since I want to say 2019 or so. Like it's been 4 years, and this, nothing. So this is, you know, the next series after. It takes place, I want to say 5 years after the Mortal Instrument. No, less. No, maybe 4 years, something like that. 4 or 5 years after the Mortal Instruments. We follow Emma Carstairs and what's his name? Julian. I knew it was a J name. Julian Blackthorn and their peripetie, and they're in love with each other and all that shit. What really made this one for me was Mark Blackthorn. I loved him so goddamn much, and it did make me want to reread the Mortal Instruments because it did make quite a few references there. Obviously, there's some references in Infernal Devices, you know, Tessa, Jem, all that stuff. Emma's a Carstairs. But there were a lot of references to the later books in the Mortal Instrument series in particular, which did make me want to reread it. I'm not gonna lie, and I did enjoy this so much more than I thought I was going to. Like it. This woman can suck you in, you know, she can. There's a reason she's been writing these books for years, you know, because they just keep working. Yeah, as soon as I finished this book, I added all of the books that I missed and haven't read to my Amazon wish list of like books I want desperately, because I'm gonna continue the series. And I think I have Lord of Shadows coming, so that's that. It almost made me cry, and what else? Mark Blackthorn almost made me cry. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Like, there was no escaping it. That's just how it is now. After that, I read a manga. That is Say I Love You Volume 8. I read Volume 1 of this manga, but I didn't really continue it. I ended up, this came in a lot of manga from eBay, and it follows basically this girl, and she is this girl right here. She's kind of shy. She doesn't really make very many friends. She's never really had guys interested in her, and then this guy is extremely popular and he's interested in her. It's cute. It's not cute enough that I like want to read the entire series, but it's cute enough that I can enjoy it when I have a volume here or there. What this volume primarily follows is like this school-wide popularity contest essentially, and they both get nominated, and it's a whole thing. It's an older manga. You can kind of tell by the art style. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. It was fine. After that, I read a book with one of my groups of 5th graders. This was with my high group. I got 3 groups, and all of them are, you know, at or above the reading level of a 5th grader, but this is my highest group. I got a girl in there whose lower Lexile is 1300. It's insane. We read The Fort by Gordon Korman. Gordon Korman has been around forever. I remember reading like Swindle when I was in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. This is a newer one. This came out last year. It's about this group of boys. There are 5 of them, and there is a hurricane, and they end up finding this like nuclear fallout shelter, and it's got everything. It's got power, it's got a TV, it's got old food, canned food, it's got the silverware that they keep pawning off, and they're like, oh, this is awesome, this is their new fort. Unfortunately, one of them has a deeply abusive stepfather, and he ends up having to he ends up kind of like using it as like his personal refuge, because like this guy is constantly beating up on him, and these guys do have some very intense problems. Our first guy that we meet, Evan, his parents are in jail because they were drug addicts, and he lives with his grandma, and his older brother is falling with the wrong crowd. Jason's parents are in a really messy divorce. Mitchell has OCD, and CJ is the one with the abusive stepfather, and then Ricky is you know, his family doesn't have a lot of money, but he's really, really super bright and stuff like that. And it's very good. I think this is honestly the first book that I've read with a group, because of Winn-Dixie might have had universal approval too, but it's one of very, very few of these books that we read as little groups has everybody enjoy them, right? Like there's one or two kids that really like them, one or two kids that are kind of okay with it, or like, each group has 4 kids in it. This one is one of very few that everybody in the group enjoyed it. It's a good time. Gordan Korman, he's been around for a long time, for a while. I think I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was good. Yeah. Next up, probably my worst book of the week, which is sad because I've liked this author's other books. That's a Dream by Natalia Jaster. This is book 4 in the Foolish Kingdoms, and I think part of my dislike for this could be placed on me because in my mind, so this woman, she writes these romantic books that you do not, in my mind, have to read in order. Like, these are books that each one follows a different couple, and so then you read their story, stuff like that. I feel like maybe this is a series I should have read in order. The only other book I read in this one was Trick, and that was years ago. The cover I have, hold on, I'll show you the cover that is right now. I'm going to show you the cover I have. I have the OG of OG covers for this book. Like, this is an old, I got this very soon after it came out, originally in this came out in 2015. I think that's when I read it, was 2015 or 2016. So like, that's where I was with this one, and I just couldn't do it. Like, this follows the kid of Poet here, and it follows him and this potioneer who they were friends when they were younger. But then the potioneer, like the one thing. Okay, I'm gonna put this away so I can talk about this. So one thing that this world does is that they really put anybody who has any sort of disability or mental illness in like this group of like half-wits and mad people. That's what they call them. And so this kid here, I think he might be like the equivalent of like autistic or something. There's something going on with him. He's seen as like a half-wit, and he just the dynamic was off. It was just kind of weird, and it was weird. I don't think that the story or the romance really flowed very well, which again could be my fault. It could be that because I haven't read the other books in the series. I haven't read book 2, I haven't read book 3. Although now if I look at like the Goodreads page, there's like, I don't even know how many of these books there are, and there are re-releases. She re-released them to have more sex in them, and I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. I have books 2 and 3. This says it's books 4, but on Goodreads it says it's book 6. I don't know what's going on. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars in general. And I think I know I have books 2 and 3. They're in the book haul somewhere. I'll read those, and after that I'm just done. Like, not with Natalia Jaster, but with this series in particular. I've been really enjoying her other books. Like I said, the Selfish Myths books and the like Kiss the Fae, those ones. I really like those ones. I don't know what's going on with this one, you know. I said 2 out of 5 stars. It was a whole fucking mess. After that, I read another book with a different group of my 5th graders. This is my middle group, and that's Flush by Carl Hiaasan. And one of my kids one of them liked it. She really liked it. And this is a book that was a childhood book for me. Carl Hiaasan, and I've realized as I've gotten older that not everybody read and reread Hoot and Flush obsessively as a 10-year-old. I loved them so much, and it could be like my mom liked Carl Hiaasan's adult books, and so she saw his children's books and we're like, here you go, child. And I was like, awesome, I love these. So Flush is about this kid Noah, and his dad is in jail because he just sunk a gambling boat that he thought was illegally dumping sewage in like the ocean. And so Noah thinks that his dad's probably right, and they all have this really big streak of bullheadedness that you see a lot in Carl Hiaasan's books, especially when it comes to environmental stuff. And so they kind of go to prove that this boat is doing this, and I love it. It is a childhood book for me. It definitely has some nostalgia points baked in there, for sure, but I loved rereading it. I give it 5 out of 5 stars, and I would love to, you know, reread Hoot again. And the only two books of his I've ever read, children's or adult, were Hoot and Flush. I know he's got other children's books. I know he's got plenty of adult books too, which I would like to read at some point. One thing I really appreciate about Carl Hiaasan is that he does really, his care for nature is not wrapped up in anything religious. He just thinks it's fucking neat, you know? Like, that's just what he thinks. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was great. Then I read another childhood book that was definitely like influenced by my mother loving these books, because my mother was born in 1978, which means that when she was growing up, she watched so much Little House on the Goddamn Prairie. So I reread Little House on the Prairie. We had all these books growing up. The books I remember rereading the most are these ones, Farmer Boy, On the Banks of Plum Creek. But this one is, it definitely had some parts in there that I definitely remembered. If you are the uninitiated, Little House on the Prairie, they're a series of books about this. They're semi-autobiographical or completely autobiographical, about this girl who growing up in like pioneer times, you know, like it starts out, Little House in the Big Woods is the first one, and they're building a cabin, and just the descriptions of food in Little House in the Big Wood are always what I remember. And this one, they decide they're gonna go to Kansas, and they're gonna go to Indian country, and they're gonna settle there. And there's obviously, you know, a lot of problems with these books, especially in today's day and age. But they are definitely a comfort sort of series, and honestly, they are not. I don't want to say the phrase they're not as racist as people make them out to be, but there are. I mean, there's definitely an element of like, well, we deserve this because, you know, we're white settlers, but there is a certain respect for the Indians and Native Americans that Pa does hold. Ma is completely fucking terrified of them, but Pa does hold a certain amount of respect for them, while he is taking their land. You know, so it's definitely not a black and white thing there. Obviously that's bad, but I give it 4 out of 5 stars. There, again, definitely some nostalgia points baked in here. I read them a lot when I was a kid. After that, finished this last night, What My Mother Doesn't Know by Sonya Sonez. This is about a young girl who, she's about 15, and it's about her, like, basically, her boy crazy kind of ways. It's written in verse, which makes it a very quick read, but it's something. It's about her first boyfriend, Dylan, and then she's chatting with somebody online on forums, and he turns out to be a creep, because that's what it does. And then basically it's her coming to terms with the fact that the boy that she has a crush on, the boy that she really wants to be with, is the loser of the year. His name is Murphy, and that's my little sister's dog's name, so that's all I can think of. It was fun. Honestly, it was good enough that I did decide, like, I do want to read the second book, which is from Murphy's point of view. And I even though I read some reviews that were like, this book is terrible, never read this. I'm like, I gotta know. I give 4 out of 5 stars. I think it's definitely definitely it reads like a young adult of the early 2000s, because that's what it is, but it isn't very dated, to be honest. And I did enjoy it. Currently, and I plan on finishing this day. It's not very long. It's a little dense, you know, but it's not very long. It's only 200 pages. I'm already 115 pages in, and that is The Disappearance of the Outside by Andrei Codrescu. This is from a Romanian author. It's a philosophy, basically. It's about imagination. It's about creation. It's about censorship. It's about growing up in Romania when everything was so, like, censored and everything, and then exiling yourself to America and getting kind of enraptured in that and everything. Like I said, it's dense. Like, the first 100 pages of this, I sat down and just read them straight through. Took me like an hour and 10 minutes. And I know this sounds like fast, but I'm a quick reader. I read all the time, and so I've gotten very fast. And an hour and 10 minutes for 100 pages for me is a long fucking time. But no, it's definitely, I think, worth a read. This is a book that I'm, like, gonna give to my dad after I read it, because I think that's the kind of person that would enjoy this. Yeah, that's what I'm currently reading. We'll finish it today, for sure. I've only got like 85 pages left, so that's only like an hour more of reading, you know. Oh jeez. Now I get to decide whether I want to keep Lady Midnight or not. I don't know if I will. But yeah, these are the books I read this past week. That is all for today. I will talk to you later, and goodbye.